Hi, this is Steve from Académie Érudit, and today I will show you how to apply for loans and bursaries. So let's begin by first visiting Google and doing a quick search for AFE, or Aide Financière aux Études, Québec. As you can see, it's one of our first hits. So let's click on that. Here, it's in English for me. If you prefer to use or to view the website in French, you can click on the top right. I will keep it in English. So the first step is to go right here below the orange box on the left and click on Loans and Bursaries. Next, you want to again scroll down and click on Forms. So today's video will focus on the main form for the Loans and Bursaries application. So click on Loans and Bursaries Program. And then we want to apply for, in this case, let's apply for the 2015-2016 school year. If your course begins in July 2016 or later, then you would have to apply for 2016-2017. But right now, I'll be applying for a course that began in May, so I will use the 2015-2016 form. It comes up right here. Let us download the file. Let's save it. So it's very important to save the file, to open it up, and make sure that you have a version of PDF which is at least PDF 8 or newer. So once you save the file, you can access it and begin your application. So as you see here, the main form is form 1001, and there are 9 pages. Now let's go through the form, and I'll go over some of the major questions that most of the students at Académie Érudit have for their starting a business course, which is a college course, but the same procedure would apply for university or other college courses. So let's begin by typing in the last name. Actually, it's better to put everything in cap lock, just to make it clear. Put the date of birth and your social insurance number. I won't put mine for security reasons, but you should put your correct social insurance number. I am a male. I prefer to speak in English, pardon me. Now, most of my students are permanent residents, so I'll click here on permanent resident. As you will see, there's a small box here with a number 3 in it. These boxes refer to required documents. So for permanent resident, you have to submit document 3, which is either your landing paper, the complete landing paper, nothing cut off, or both sides, front and back, of your permanent resident card. Here you put the date on which you became a permanent resident. So let's say that it was the 10th of May. And here is your immigrant category code written on the details section of your landing paper. So for example, skilled worker is SW1. On the top, you will see a section that says permanent code assigned by the ministère. For new students, for the first application, you do not have this permanent code. So you must also submit to AFE, when you are sending your documents, your translated birth certificate. Okay, it is a necessary supporting document, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in the next video. Here's your mailing address, so I'll put my business address for Érudit. Then everything should be cap locked. Apartment number, we don't have an apartment, but we'll put the room number 200. Municipality is Montreal. Municipality continued is if you need more space. Province of Quebec. Postal code. Telephone number, and then the business phone number for us. Okay, now here is something very important. For email address, if you are planning not to move within the next 3 months, I highly recommend that you leave the email address empty. The reason for this is that if you leave it empty, AFE will send you a letter, and on your letter you will be given your student code. For security purposes, if you put your email address, they will not send you your permanent code by email, and you will have to call AFE. So again, just to repeat, if you are planning on staying at the same address for at least the next 3 months, you don't have to put your email address. It's actually better not to. And the first communication with AFE will be by letter. On your letter, you will have your student code. You can then use that student code to access your file online, at which point you can then add your email address online. The benefit is you save some time. If you put your email, they will send you an email. You will then have to call them to receive your permanent code. So leave it blank if you're planning on staying at the same address. Section 2, again, for most of my students, they have their CSQ. So it's no, no, and yes for Section 3 for your resident status. If you do not have a CSQ, then there are other ways to prove your resident status in Quebec. For example, you could use a lease or other documentation, but for most students, you do have a CSQ, unless you are a federal permanent resident. Moving along. So on page 2, for our college courses, for our vocational service courses, we do not have to fill up page 2. This is for university, so we'll just keep going. Page 3 as well, again, it's still for university, so this does not apply to us for the starting a business course. Page 4 is where we want to be. So halfway through the page, you will see full-time studies, very important. Our courses are full-time at Érudit. So here, the start date of the program, like I said, we'll use a course that just began, so 2016, May 14th, and the end date for that course is 2016. Make sure you put the correct end date here, okay, 09/25 for this course, but the end date will change depending on the class that you're taking. Name of the program, for most of our students, it's either starting a business, professional sales, sales representation. The code, again, make sure you put the right code in the right course. So for us, for the business class, 05764. For our institute, so Académie Érudit is a satellite organization. We're a community center, and we work with Rosemount Technology Center, or RTC, okay, to offer our courses. So you cannot put Académie Érudit here. You have to put, we're just a satellite center. You have to put the higher school that we work with. So it's Rosemount, and the code is 887405. Do you plan on residing with your parents or sponsor? Most students is no, but be careful. If you live with your parents or your sponsor, you have to put yes. And do you plan on pursuing full-time studies in September 2016? If you plan on studying, put yes, put no. It doesn't really make a difference.